We ranked 10 luxury handbag brands by one standard only: what you actually get for your money. Not prestige, not history, not which celebrity was photographed with it outside a Paris hotel. The leather grade, the hardware, the construction, the production cost versus the price tag. And is the question every smart buyer should be asking before they spend anywhere from $300 to $10,000 on a bag. Is this money going into the object, or is it going into the logo on the outside of it? Across these 10 brands, the average retail markup over production cost runs somewhere between 10 and 12 times. A bag that costs $80 to cut, stitch, and finish in a factory sells for $398 on a boutique floor. A bag that costs $400 to produce by hand over the course of a full working day sells for $4,000. The markup is not always the scandal. Sometimes you are paying for genuine craft and the price reflects real labor and real materials. But sometimes you are paying for a marketing campaign, a licensing deal, and the specific shape of a logo on a brass turnlock. This list tells you exactly which is which. We start at the bottom. Number 10, Coach. Coach is owned by Tapestry Inc., a group that also controls Kate Spade and Stuart Weitzman. The brand was founded in Manhattan in 1941 and spent decades building a genuine reputation for American leather craftsmanship. That reputation is now doing a lot of work that the product itself is no longer doing. Here is the detail that matters. Coach operates a substantial outlet business. Coach outlet stores across the United States and internationally. They are manufactured separately, specifically for the outlet channel at lower cost with different materials. The leather on an outlet Coach bag is frequently a corrected grain leather, which means the surface has been sanded down, embossed with an artificial grain pattern, and coated with a pigmented finish to create a uniform look. Corrected grain is real leather, but it is the lowest tier of genuine leather. The natural surface has been removed because it had too many imperfections to sell as is. What you are buying is a layer of pigment on top of a sanded hide. This confusion is real and it is profitable for Coach. The outlet stores look like Coach stores. The bags carry the Coach logo. The branding is identical. But the tabby shoulder bag in full grain pebbled leather, sold in the mainline boutique for around $450, is a meaningfully different object from the similarly shaped bag in an outlet store for $160. Coach does not go out of its way to explain that distinction to the customer standing at the outlet rack. The mainline bags, particularly the newer tabby and pillow tabby lines, do use better materials. Some have solid brass hardware and full grain leather interiors. But Coach's pricing for those mainline pieces now sits at $400 to $600, which puts the brand in direct competition with Celine, Strathberry, and Polène, all of whom deliver more consistent construction at comparable prices. Coach wins on brand recognition. It does not win on value. Number 9, Michael Kors. Michael Kors is owned by Capri Holdings, the same group that controls Versace and Jimmy Choo. The Jet Set Tote, the brand's most recognized product, costs an estimated $40 to $50 to produce. It retails between $298 and $428 depending on size and finish. That is a markup of between 6 and 10 times the production cost, which would be defensible if the materials justified it. They do not. The signature MK monogram is printed on a Saffiano-style PVC, that is a plastic-coated fabric, not leather. The term Saffiano refers to a cross-hatch embossing pattern originally developed by Prada in the early 20th century using actual calf leather. Michael Kors uses the same cross-hatch texture on a coated synthetic. The feel is similar from a distance. The durability, breathability, and aging behavior are completely different. PVC does not develop a patina. It cracks, peels at stress points, and cannot be repaired in the way leather can. The hardware situation compounds the problem. The gold-toned hardware on most Michael Kors bags is zinc alloy with a gold-plated finish. That plating wears off. At $350, you should be getting solid brass with a lacquer or PVD coating, a physical vapor deposition process that fuses the finish at a molecular level and resists tarnishing far longer. You are not getting that here. Michael Kors built its brand on aspirational middle market positioning. The logo says luxury. The construction says fast fashion at a moderate markup. The gap between those two things is where the money goes. Which of these brands have you actually spent money on? Drop it in the comments. I want to know if your experience matched the price tag. Number 8, Gucci. Gucci is owned by Kering, the French luxury group that also controls Saint Laurent, Bottega Veneta, Balenciaga, and Alexander McQueen. Kering reported revenues of over 17 billion in recent years, with Gucci historically accounting for more than half of that. This is important context because Gucci's pricing strategy is inseparable from its role as Kering's financial engine. The bag is priced to support a conglomerate, not to reflect what the bag costs to make. The GG Marmont, Gucci's most visible entry-level bag, retails from around $1,200 for the small matelassé chevron shoulder bag. The exterior fabric is GG Supreme Canvas, which is a coated fabric embossed with the double G monogram. It is not leather. The interior lining is microfiber. The hardware is gold-toned metal. At $1,200, none of that is exceptional. A Loewe puzzle bag in full-grain calf leather, a bag where the material is actually the main event, retails around $2,450. The Gucci is almost half the price and delivers far less in terms of what the object is made of. Where Gucci does justify higher prices is in its leather exterior lines. The Gucci Horsebit 1,955 in full-grain leather, or the Diana Tote in textured leather. But those bags run $1,800 to $3,500. At that level, you are in the same room as Celine and beginning to approach Loewe, both of which we will get to. This problem is not that Gucci makes bad bags. The problem is that Gucci charges leather prices for canvas products and banks on the logo to close the gap. The quality controls have also been inconsistent. Long-term user reports on the Marmont specifically flag hardware tarnishing within 12 to 18 months of regular use, and stitching stress at the chain attachment points. For a bag starting at $1,200, that is not a minor caveat. Number 7, Louis Vuitton. Louis Vuitton is the single most profitable luxury brand on earth. It is the crown jewel of LVMH, the conglomerate built by Bernard Arnault that also owns Dior, Givenchy, Celine, Loewe, Fendi, and roughly 75 other brands. LVMH reported revenues of over 86 billion in recent years, and Louis Vuitton alone accounts for a disproportionate share of that profit. Understanding that structure explains the pricing logic behind every bag on the shelf. The Never Full MM, the brand's best-selling bag, the one you will see on every street in every city, retails between $1,760 and $2,060 depending on colorway and interior. The exterior material is monogram canvas. That canvas is a coated PVC and cotton blend, not leather. Louis Vuitton has been transparent about this for decades. They call it their signature material. They built a mythology around it, and the market accepted the mythology. But at $1,760, you are paying for a coated fabric bag with microfiber lining, brass-toned hardware, and one of the most recognizable logos in consumer history. The object itself does not explain the price. The logo does. The facetta leather trim, the natural cowhide used on handles and piping, is real leather, and it is a deliberate design choice. It develops a honey-colored patina over time, which Louis Vuitton has positioned as a feature rather than a material limitation. In practice, it also scuffs easily, stains with water, and requires conditioning to age well. It is top-grain leather, not full-grain, meaning the outermost layer of the hide has been sanded before finishing. Louis Vuitton does produce leather exterior bags, the Capucines, the Twist, the Go 14, and those tell a different story. The Capucines MM in Torillon leather retails around $5,800 and uses a single-piece hide cut to minimize seams. That is a legitimate quality marker, but the vast majority of Louis Vuitton's volume, the bags that fund the entire operation, are canvas. The brand built a $20 billion revenue stream on coated fabric and the sustained cultural belief that the logo justifies the price. For some buyers, it does, but that is a branding decision, not a quality decision. One more detail worth naming, Louis Vuitton bags do not go on sale, ever. The brand controls secondary market pricing tightly, and popular styles like the Never Full and the Speedy do hold resale value reasonably well. Typically 60 to 80% of retail on the second-hand market. That is a real advantage over Coach and Michael Kors, both of which depreciate faster. But holding 70% of value on a $1,900 canvas bag still means you paid a significant premium for a logo. That is doing more structural work than the material underneath it. Number 6, Prada. Prada sits at the pivot point in this list, the brand where the exposé energy starts to run out of clean targets and the analysis gets more complicated. Because Prada, unlike the 4 brands below it, is genuinely doing something real with at least part of its lineup. The problem is consistency. The Saffiano leather that Prada made famous and that Michael Kors later imitated in PVC is actual leather. It is a top-grain calf leather embossed with the signature cross-hatch pattern under a wax finish. The wax finish is what makes it scratch-resistant and water-resistant, properties that hold up across years of real use. Long-term owners report Saffiano bags from the late 2000s still looking presentable with minimal conditioning. That is a durability record that most brands at this price point cannot match. The Prada Re-Edition 2005 Saffiano shoulder bag retails around $1,450. This hardware is solid brass with a palladium or gold finish, and the triangular enamel logo plate is mounted flush rather than glued on. These are construction choices that reflect a real quality standard. The interior is nylon-lined, which is a Prada signature dating back to the brand's nylon bag era in the 1980s. Functional, lightweight, and easier to clean than leather lining. But Prada's entry-level bags reveal where the brand cuts costs when it needs to. The Prada Clio in brushed leather at around $1,350. Uses a split leather on some interior panels. Split leather is the bottom layer of the hide separated from the top, thinner, weaker, and less durable. The chain hardware on some Clio colorways shows plating wear within 18 months according to multiple long-term user reviews. For a bag at $1,350, you expect better hardware longevity than that. The conclusion on Prada is this: the Saffiano line delivers genuine value at its price point, particularly in the medium-sized retail bags. The softer leather lines and the entry-level crossbody range are less consistent. Buy Prada for Saffiano. Approach the rest of the leather lineup with more scrutiny than the name alone would suggest. Number 5, Celine. The tone shifts here because starting at number 5, the gap between what you pay and what you get begins to close. And in some cases, what you get quietly exceeds what most buyers expect. Celine is owned by LVMH, which is worth stating plainly because it complicates the narrative. LVMH is the same group running Louis Vuitton's canvas operation. But Celine operates under a different design and materials philosophy, one that has held consistent since Hedi Slimane took creative control in 2018. A Celine Triomphe, the brand's signature chain bag, available in canvas and leather, retails around $1,850 in the smooth calfskin version. That calfskin is a top-grain leather with a tight, refined finish that resists scratching better than most uncoated leathers at this price. This hardware is solid brass with a consistent weight across all Triomphe colorways. You can feel the difference the moment you handle it next to a Michael Kors or Coach equivalent. It does not feel hollow. It does not feel plated over cheap zinc. The stitching on Celine bags is executed at a tighter count than most of the brands ranked below, approximately 8 to 10 stitches per centimeter on the main body seams, compared to the 4 to 6 stitches per centimeter common in the $300 to $600 range. More stitches per centimeter means more thread contact per seam, which means slower wear at stress points. It is not glamorous information. It is the kind of information that determines whether a bag lasts 4 years or 14. The real limitation with Celine is customer service. The brand's repair and aftercare infrastructure is inconsistent across markets, and the resale value, while solid, does not approach Hermès or even Loewe at the top of this list. The Triomphe retains roughly 60 to 75% of retail on the secondary market, which is respectable but not investment grade. Celine is where you buy quality for yourself, not quality as a financial strategy. And number 4, Polène. Polène was founded in Paris in 2016 by 3 siblings, Antoine, Mathieu, and Justine Motet, and it has done something genuinely unusual in the handbag market, built a reputation for construction quality without a heritage story, without a celebrity campaign, and without a logo that announces itself from across a room. The brand's entire value proposition is the object, what it is made of, where it is made, and how long it lasts. Every Polène bag is manufactured in Ubrique, a small town in the Cádiz province of southern Spain. Ubrique is not a footnote. It is one of the most concentrated leather goods manufacturing regions in the world, responsible for producing bags for Loewe, Prada, and several other houses whose names carry significantly heavier retail price tags. The artisans working on a Polène numéro 1 in Ubrique are operating in the same workshops with the same generational leatherworking knowledge as the artisans producing bags that sell for 3 to 5 times the price. The leather does not come from a different tannery. The edge finishing technique is not a different technique. The address is the same address. The Polène numéro 1 retails at approximately $530. It is made in full-grain leather, the highest grade of genuine leather, taken from the outermost layer of the hide with the natural grain intact and unaltered. Full-grain leather breathes, develops a patina with age, and strengthens at stress points rather than cracking. It is the grade used by Hermès, Loewe, and Bottega Veneta. It is not the grade used by Coach's outlet line, Michael Kors, or Gucci's Canvas collection. At $530, Polène is giving you the same base material tier as bags that retail at $2,000 to $4,000. This hardware is matte gold or silver-toned brass, not zinc alloy, and the finish has shown consistent durability in long-term user reports extending beyond 3 years of daily use. The interior lining is suede, which is a quality marker at this price point. Cheaper brands use nylon or polyester lining because it costs less to source and install. The honest limitations: Polène's design aesthetic is deliberately restrained, architectural, minimal, quietly French. If you want a bag that signals luxury to someone who does not already know the brand, Polène will not deliver that. The brand has no heritage mythology, no waitlist culture, no resale market that appreciates above retail. You are buying a well-made object for the use of it. For a large segment of buyers, that is exactly the right trade. For buyers who want the social signaling as part of the purchase, Polène leaves that gap unfilled. Number 3, Loewe. Loewe was founded in Madrid in 1846, which makes it one of the oldest leather goods houses in continuous operation in the world. It is owned by LVMH, yes, again, but unlike Louis Vuitton and Celine, Loewe has been allowed to operate with a degree of creative and materials independence that shows up directly in the product. The Loewe puzzle bag retails around $2,450 in the small size. The leather is nappa, a full-grain leather processed to achieve an exceptionally soft, supple hand feel while retaining the natural grain structure. Nappa processing does not sand the surface or apply a heavy pigment coating the way corrected grain does. It conditions and softens through controlled tanning, preserving the hide's natural integrity. The result is a leather that feels immediately different from anything in the sub-$1,000 market, softer, warmer, more alive in the hand. The puzzle's construction is the other part of the story. The bag is built from 38 individually cut leather panels assembled with a consistent seam allowance and hand-finished edges. Edge finishing, the painting or burnishing the raw cut edge of the leather so it does not fray or crack, is one of the clearest indicators of construction quality in a handbag. Cheap bags skip this step or apply a thin coat of edge paint that wears off within months. On the puzzle, the edges are built to last the life of the bag. Loewe offers a repair service, and the modular panel construction means individual sections can be replaced rather than the entire bag written off. The hardware is palladium-plated solid brass. Palladium plating is more durable and tarnish-resistant than standard gold plating because palladium is harder and bonds more securely at the molecular level. Under regular use, it holds its finish noticeably longer than the gold-toned hardware on Michael Kors, Coach, or Gucci's entry-level range. Loewe's genuine limitation is price accessibility. At $2,450, the puzzle sits at a level where you are making a significant financial commitment. The resale market is stable but not spectacular. Expect 55 to 70% of retail on the secondary market, which is solid without being exceptional. And Loewe's design language is specific, structured, geometric, intellectually considered. It is a brand for people who find that appealing. If you want something softer in silhouette or more traditional in shape, the lineup offers less flexibility. Number 2, Bottega Veneta. Bottega Veneta was founded in Vicenza, Italy in 1966, and it operates under a single defining principle that separates it from nearly every other brand on this list: no visible logo. Not a small logo, not a discreet embossed monogram on the interior, no logo. The brand's identity is entirely constructed through the intrecciato weave, the signature hand-woven leather pattern that covers the exterior of most of its bags, and through the quality of the leather used to create it. The intrecciato is not a surface treatment. It is not an embossed pattern pressed into leather to simulate weaving. It is actual weaving. Strips of full-grain nappa leather, cut to precise widths, woven by hand through a loom-like process that requires a minimum of 80 individual passes per panel on a standard cassette bag. The Bottega Veneta cassette retails around $3,300. Each panel takes a skilled artisan a significant portion of a working day to complete. The weave creates a structure that is self-reinforcing. The interlocked leather strips distribute stress across the panel rather than concentrating it at a single seam, which is a genuine engineering advantage over conventionally stitched bags. A leather is nappa calf, sourced primarily from tanneries in the Veneto region of Italy, the same region where the brand was founded. The proximity of the tannery to the workshop is not a romantic detail. It means shorter supply chain, faster quality control, and leather that arrives at the workshop in better condition than leather shipped across multiple borders. Bottega Veneta's resale performance is the strongest of any non-Hermès brand on this list. This cassette and the Jodi regularly retain 70 to 85% of retail value on the secondary market, with some colorways and limited editions trading above retail. That is what happens when a bag's value is built into the object rather than into a logo that fashion cycles can erode. The limitation is the same as Loewe's, amplified, the price is high, and the design language is specific. At $3,300, you are making a genuine investment. And Bottega Veneta's aesthetic, logoless, quiet, confident, requires the buyer to not need external validation from the bag. That is a real psychological ask for a market that is partly buying luxury for the recognition it generates. Number 1 on our list is Hermès. Hermès was founded in Paris in 1837 as a harness workshop serving European nobility. It has been making leather goods by hand in France for longer than most of its competitors have existed as companies. That history matters, not as mythology, not as marketing, but because it explains why the production infrastructure at Hermès is genuinely different from every other brand ranked here. The skill base is not imported from a third-party manufacturer in Ubrique or Tuscany. It is built and maintained internally, trained over years, and tied to a specific set of standards that Hermès controls from hide selection through final quality check. A Birkin 30 in Togo leather currently retails between $10,000 and $12,000 at a Hermès boutique, if you can buy one at retail, which is itself a structured obstacle. A Kelly 28 in Epsom leather runs in the same range. These are not prices that need defending on the basis of material cost alone. This Togo leather, a pebbled full-grain calf leather sourced from tanneries in France, is exceptional. The Epsom, a cross-grain calf with higher density and scratch resistance, is exceptional. But at $10,000, you are not paying for leather alone. You are paying for 15 to 25 hours of labor by a single artisan start to finish on one bag. This is the detail that separates Hermès from every other brand at the top of this list, including Bottega Veneta and Loewe. Hermès artisans complete a 2-year apprenticeship before they are permitted to work on a Birkin or Kelly. Each bag is assigned to one artisan for its entire construction, not a production line, not a division of labor between cutting, stitching, and finishing departments. One person, one bag. The stitching is saddle stitching, executed by hand with 2 needles and a waxed linen thread pulled simultaneously from opposite sides of the seam. Saddle stitching is structurally superior to machine lock stitching because if one stitch breaks, the seam does not unravel, the adjacent stitches hold. Machine stitching, used by nearly every other brand on this list, loops thread through itself. When one loop breaks, the chain begins. The hardware, the signature turnlock clasp, the padlock, the key is solid brass with a palladium or gold plating process that Hermès executes in-house. The weight of an Hermès clasp is immediately perceptible against a Gucci or Michael Kors equivalent. It is not a theatrical detail. It is a consequence of using more metal per piece. Now the financial case, because this is where Hermès becomes a genuinely unusual object in the luxury market. The Birkin has outperformed the S&P 500 over the past 35 years as an asset class, with some analyses tracking average annual appreciation in the range of 14%. Knight Frank's Luxury Investment Index has consistently ranked rare Hermès bags among the top-performing collectible assets alongside art and classic cars. A Birkin 25 in Himalayan Niloticus crocodile sold at heritage auctions for $240,000. A standard Togo Birkin 30 purchased at retail in 2015 for approximately $8,500 trades on the secondary market today between $18,000 and $25,000, depending on color and condition. No other bag on this list does that. No other bag on this list comes close. The wait list is not an accident. Hermès controls supply with a precision that is closer to a central bank managing currency than a fashion house managing inventory. The brand does not discount. It does not hold sales. It does not produce for outlet channels. Production is capped by the number of trained artisans and the hours those artisans can work. A real constraint, not a manufactured one. When demand exceeds supply and supply cannot be quickly increased because the bottleneck is a 2-year apprenticeship program, the secondary market fills the gap at multiples of retail. That is not a bubble. That is a structurally enforced scarcity with genuine craft at its foundation. The honest limitation is access, and it is a significant one. Hermès boutiques operate an informal purchase history system. Customers with an established spend history across the brand's product categories are more likely to be offered the opportunity to purchase a Birkin or Kelly. Walking into an Hermès store as a first-time visitor and leaving with a Birkin is, for most people, not a realistic outcome. The gray market and authenticated resale platforms, Vestiaire Collective, The Real, Fashion File, are the practical access point for most buyers, and resale prices reflect the full demand premium. If you are buying Hermès at retail, you are buying the best constructed bag on this list, full stop. If you are buying on the secondary market, you are paying a premium that the resale appreciation data suggests you will recover, but you are making a financial calculation as much as a quality decision. The full picture, 10 brands, 1 standard. What does the money actually buy? At the bottom, Coach, Michael Kors, and Gucci are charging luxury prices while delivering canvas, PVC, and corrected grain leather. The logo is doing work the material cannot. Louis Vuitton built a $20 billion business on that exact formula and executed it with enough cultural authority that the market agreed. Prada breaks from that pattern in its Saffiano line, but inconsistently across the rest of its range. The middle of this list, Celine Polène, is where the value calculation starts working in the buyer's favor. Real leather, real hardware, real construction, at prices that the object can justify without the logo carrying the argument. And at the top, Loewe, Bottega Veneta, and Hermès are making things. Real things, by hand, from materials that age well and hold their integrity over time. The prices are high. In each case, there is a specific, nameable reason why. This question is not which brand is the most prestigious. The question is what you want the money to have bought 5 years from now. A logo you were excited about in the moment, or an object that is still, quietly, worth exactly what you paid for it. Drop the brand that surprised you most in the comments, top or bottom of this list. I want to know if this changed how you are thinking about your next purchase.